Okay, so who shot first in the Battle of Lexington? Well, many people over the years have debated whether who shot first, an American or British. Towards the time when the shot was heard around the world, when the battle began, was later made into a poem called the Concord Hymn. The phrase comes from the opening stanza of Ralph Waldo Emerson's Concord Hymn, 1837, and refers to the first shot of the American Revolution at the North Bridge in Concord, Massachusetts, where the first British soldiers fell in the battles of Lexington and Concord on April 19th, 1775. And Ralph Waldo Emerson's Concord Hymn, the embattled farmers fired the shot heard around the world at the British regulars in Concord. More likely, the shots were fired at Lexington, where the British fired on the Patriot militia, who may have also taken a few shots in the confusion. One eyewitness to the skirmish was Paul Revere, who had been detained but not arrested by the British. He couldn't tell who shot first, in his account. Both sides later accused the other of firing first. Historically, no single shot can be cited as the first shot of the battle or the war. The POV of the colonists was that the British shot at them first, while the colonists' back were turned. But of course, we have to see through the eyes of the British, of course. But also, of course, we have to see through the eyes of the British. Well, anyway, the POV of the British is that is a so this is a following of a passage from a British general's diary, which was written on the day of the battle, April 1977, 1777. Here we go. At 2 o'clock, we began our march by wading through a very long stream to our middles, about 5 miles away from a town called Lexington. We heard there were some hundreds of people collected together, intending to oppose us. At 5 o'clock, we arrived there and saw a number of people. I believe between 200 and 300, formed in a common in the middle of the town. We still continued advancing, prepared for an attack, though without intending to attack them. As we came near them, they fired 1 or 2 shots, upon which our men, without any orders, fired and put them into flight. We then formed on the common, but with some difficulty. The men were so wild they could hear no orders. We waited a considerable time there, and at length proceeded on our way to Concord. Some of these sources may have some biases, like how some American-based sites or books are more aiming that the British shot first, and more European sites say that the American shot first. Many have also theorized that the first shot at Lexington was not intended, but was a misfire. Some people think that it was a misfire by a young colonist who accidentally pulled the trigger and gun went off because he didn't know how to use it, or he was just cleaning it. Many have different theories on who shot first in the Battle of Lexington, but another interesting theory was a man named Ebenezer Locke who shot first. Bill Poole, 76, is a direct descendant of Ebenezer Locke, a man who, according to one count, fired the musket first at the Battle of Lexington. Whether or not the account is true is probably impossible to prove, but even if it's not true, Locke is certainly one of a handful of Minutemen identified by name as someone who shot first at the British on Lexington Green. That makes Poole a rather special player in the annual Lexington drama. Standing in the center of Lexington Green, Poole was quick to say that Locke's story, which he discovered while researching his family's genealogy, is just one version of how the battle might have begun. As is often the case when history meets national identity, only a few strands link Locke to the fateful discharge on that flintlock. A time-worn gravestone, the historical record of a New Hampshire town, and a sworn deposition given by Locke's cousin, Amos. Ebenezer and Amos Locke, farmers who owned land in what is now Lexington, were members of the Woburn militia when they came to the green on the morning of April 1775. But when someone told them mistakenly, as it turned out, the King's troops had not been seen between Lexington and Boston. The two headed home, and they had not gotten far when, according to Amos Locke, they heard a firing and returned to the direction of the common. As the green was called in the day, not far not far from where the British were now assembling. Behind a wall, the Locks found the body of another Woburn man, as Hal Porter, pierced by a musket ball, as his cousin recalled it. Ebenezer took aim at some regulars nearby and fired. The battle began, and the cousins took cover behind the wall and lived to fight another day. But the question is it true? Well, Bill Poole's research is incapable and should be relied on, said Susan Bennett, director of the Lexington Historical Society. But she and Poole agree that no one will know for sure. Well, all these sources could either be fake or real. Guess we'll never know.